call to order the Franklin Tourism Commission meeting and start with roll call tonight. Ed is now John listed board member.
He's
retired, right?
Yep. And the only reason I kept it there is because that's what was sent out in the email. I will remove that. Right. Retired from his city duties.
Perfect. Mark Wiley. Here. Barbara Wesner. Here. Jeff Confused. If you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. It is 6 o'clock, and we will open up the citizen comment period. We have no citizens present for any comment. I think it's safe for us to close the citizen comment period and move on to our third agenda item, which is approval of the draft minutes from the June 19th meeting. Those meeting minutes are in your packet. Any comments or corrections to the minutes as printed from the June 19th meeting?
I was not here, so I have no.
So I will move to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve the minutes. I have a second. Again, second, I'd have to be second, so I'll second that. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of the 19th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes approved. Mr. Wiley.
So Dave Franklin, and I had asked John to convey at the last meeting I could not be at that we had interviewed somebody to take over the executive director position. He indicated that it was a dream job for him, and someplace along the line he backed out. He was selling cemetery plots. I thought this would be must have decided to go back to that. So since then, Carol and Laura and I have talked to 2 people. One probably could have come in and done the job. We just had a negative vibe about it, and so turned her down. She was on the expensive side. We have an in-person interview with another gentleman next week who has been involved in sports activities, did well on our online interview. We want to see how he does in face-to-face. We think he could come in. Laura has committed to do a couple days a week, train him and get him up to speed. Optimistic. That's where we're at with it. They're making progress on that. They are making progress on the change in the organization status. Yeah. That's with the lawyer right now, so things are moving ahead.
Question mark. Did you hear from Laura about any activities related to promotion around our institute? Whether there was any, I know right now they're in transition.
She has been, that whole Visit Milwaukee group has been down there. Really extensive. Did not say anything about activity. Her statement always is, as she looks at things for Visit Milwaukee, then Franklin. She did report that this just popped in my head. There was a group called, I believe it's Surf, that we are going to sponsor, they want to do a site visit. And that would be to use the 4 contiguous baseball fields at Rock. I don't recall the number of guests, but a significant number of people that come in the neighborhood of 6,000. That would result in overnight stay. We are going to offer to them to come in. And then I'll have more information on that. So she's making progress with discussions with people and sign up. I know that the golf show is already slated for next year.
Was Laura down to John, or maybe Mark, planning on being at our next meeting to talk maybe about some opportunities for sponsorship? Was there a larger event? that
She's
she
got
was
a
trying to-
quarterly report and ice sculpture? Snow
Oh,
sculpture?
Snow sculpture.
She did talk about that came up after our last board meeting.
Okay.
No sculpture that's normally down in Lake Geneva is not going to be
That
there.
is the one. It's
That
the one
is
in
the
Lake
one.
Geneva. They're looking.
They have some kind of I read this in the paper, they have some kind of a conflict in Lake Geneva, or they want to go a different direction. So they're thinking that they could come here.
Be a little further north, but.
A little bit further north.
Yeah, right.
So may not melt as
I
fast.
think I know what their change of direction is.
Yeah.
They're not heading south.
But that would be a good attraction to have here.
I think it's really interesting.
She did say there would be some kind of, I didn't know whether it was upfront funding from us, somebody
The sense I got.
to, so I have to find out more about that. But she did mention that after our last meeting. So
Is that the sort of thing that would be just at Franklin Field and that area, or would it expand to Elm Park?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
The
know how
one in
big
Lake
this
Geneva
is.
was all in one contiguous area, but then it had obvious impact on restaurants and stuff. And
I did ask my brother. He was the executive director of the Lake Geneva Visitor Bureau before Stephanie Klett took over. He went down to Pensacola, so I have to ask my brother how impactful that was. But
it'd be an interesting checkpoint. I know. 2 years ago, we went down there, and so the people come in and they start building their sculpture.
Yeah.
They refine it over a couple days. People come in and they tour through it, free for people to come through. The problem they had was by the time they were all done, the weather was starting to melt,
right.
and so much iffiness about the weather.
Well, that's just. I think what they do is they build boxes, right? And they pack those boxes. So you have to give you a block of.
Yeah, and
To
then you
sculpt,
start,
right?
You start carving.
Right.
Yeah.
You carve away whatever is not part of your sculpture.
And it's neat to watch them do it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people wandering around, drinking beers. Food.
Yeah.
It's a good activity.
I will reach out to him. I do remember they had a really good social campaign around it. And I think through, I don't know how many actual visitors showed up, but I do know it created quite a buzz. Because it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's not something you see. It's the same way that the ice caves every year up at, the Apostle Islands, that always, whenever that opens up, it's a media event and there's a lot of interest around it. Certainly interesting.
Several places in Minnesota and a couple in Wisconsin that do big towns.
Yeah.
Where the weather's colder and it stays up
Mhm.
for
Right.
a week or so.
And I suspect this will bring in people from Illinois.
Right,
Because
right.
they go to Lake Geneva,
Right.
so
Yeah, it's
hopefully
not
they'll
that-
just come a bit further north.
Exactly.
Now, going back to Laura, she had thought she would be here tonight, but she may have gotten tied up down at RC.
That's good.
We did get a article put together front page, suggested front page for the city newsletter.
Yeah, that's in review with Engage right now. I think,
The article
yeah, maybe it's already been turned in.
been turned in.
Okay.
And this is more of an
I know.
update article on activities of the engaged Franklin?
It's just introducing them, I think, as much as
This is who
anything.
engages,
I
what
see.
we're targeted, that kind of.
Yep,
I know Michelle had said it was due by a certain date.
17th
Okay.
today. Well, you know, I was kind of a loose deadline.
Kind of
She
like,
got it.
kind of like today. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, it was.
Well, I think
it
it's
was
the
loose. It
18th, so I got.
had gotten in by Friday. so
Okay.
she should've-
Okay.
But this helped to maybe jockey us into the.
All right, that's
That's it.
That's
If you need a listing of the board members, so the general manager at Sleep Inn left.
Right.
There's a new guy named
Okay.
Ryan. I don't recall his last name.
I used to work out in West Bend at Hampton.
Yeah.
Jeff helped bring him into that property. Yeah, so I can't think of his last name.
So
Good
Ryan
guy.
is taking the other guy's place.
Okay.
And Michelle Eichmann is our alderwoman that's on the board now. That's the
Okay. Let's move on then to item 5, unfinished business, banner bracket. And John has some news.
So, with the banners, we went and put out a proposal for brackets with the contractor that put them up before, and we got a quote. And I went and I double checked with the Department of Public Works and new director. And he was on board. He was part of the Department of Public Works under the previous director, and that was when this wayfinding project had been established. And the council, you'll have a action sheet that tells of how it was approved in 2020, and this was 2021. It was approved at that time as well, in conjunction with the county and with both economic development and tourism in the city. So that was approved. The new director of Public Works was concerned at that time. The decision was made to go ahead and do the project and put banners, brackets up on light poles. They were the bargain brand of brackets, and so they came apart. And I got here. Here's this project that I needed to go find funding for because Public Works was wanting to exit from having to install it. So that's what I did. Funding put together for it. And get the banners purchased. We spent $15,000. That was last year's budget. I think it was expanded from the first year this year. And so we just had to do total replacement except for St. Martin's Road. So, anyways, knowing that we had a change in the leadership at Public Works, I decided to check on it. This was still opposed to using the light poles for the city, and so, okay, well, I don't work for you. You don't work for me. This is above my pay grade to decide. So it needs to go to the council. I checked with the mayor, and he thought the way to do it would be to send it, get their opinion. It's a council decision. So, of the department. So we need to take it there and get a decision on if they want to have the signs installed.
So the question is whether Common Council will support having DPW banners.
DPW is not mounting them. Contract that we had quoted is for installation.
Okay.
That was part of the mission.
Okay.
It was like, you have, they would be purchased and installed from a company that would take care of that.
Okay.
And then yeah, you asked and I inquired about a maintenance
Right.
as well. So, again, further, further unencumbering part of public works. So, anyways, so we'll work on this, take that,
Okay.
and see what they want to do. Now, the rationale is, or the reason is for the directors, DPW director's objection is that the light poles aren't rated for having equipment.
Okay.
None of them have come down.
None of the light poles have come down.
No.
No.
Well, in the brackets, I think, disintegrated before that, I think they stressed them. And also, they're not insured for it. So that's the basis for it. And so, these new brackets gives less stress. It all just depends on.
So what's going to be put in front of the council? I mean, get to your question. Are they voting to, will they be asked at that meeting to reaffirm their decision and overrule the objection of the grounds and
Department of Public Works.
Department of Public Works?
The new Department of Public
Yes,
Works.
to say, we know you have some issues with this, but we're saying,
We're sticking with it.
we're sticking with it, and we're going to authorize mounting, or the common council will back the director's opinion on this and say, okay, we're not going to push this if we feel like this is not.
Or they may agree, they may feel it's, not a safe situation.
So have we bought any of the new, I know the new brackets we talked about were flexible.
We have not, I didn't order them until because after the meeting where we
This all
approved it,
happened, right?
this all changed.
Now we have the banners from last year. They're printed. They're in a secure, undisclosed location.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, on the pumpkin wagon is closed.
So we have the banners,
We do have the
In
banners.
an underground bunker.
we have the money for the brackets.
Correct. And money
it's been
for
approved
installing.
previously.
And in this budget, we have
Okay.
a maintenance agreement too.
I find it hard to understand the public department objection. Because they're really not, we're not asking them to do anything.
The insurance part of that is a wrinkle
Insurance,
that I
yeah.
hadn't heard before, and that makes some sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I buy
Yeah, structurally,
the
they
argument, but
designed for this.
yeah.
And,
You reminded me of something. Can you tell us about the maintenance? And I'm sure you did, and I can't recall. But what does the company
I
want?
haven't got a quote on it, and I
No.
reminded them today. It's something new for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we just identified, right, that the brackets and the banners came with maintenance suggestions, tightening screws after initial install. We're like, well, who's doing that? Because it's not like our public works department around it. to
Right.
do that.
Okay.
That maintenance agreement also, well, they're agreeing to maintain it, so, but there would not be an insurance component of that.
No.
I suspect.
No.
Okay.
So would it be fair to summarize this as that you pulled and wisely said we're not spending any dollars on brackets or until we understand whether this is a go or not, but we already have the banners, those were paid for. And so now it's wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you needed an older person to sit on the agenda?
No, the mayor won't. I spoke to the mayor about it.
Okay. I'm just
The
thinking
carry
back.
forward. I may have to write it. But I can just compliment old council action sheet.
Well, I think-
That's more at the bottom.
That unfinished business will stay unfinished until. And it's not on the agenda. Did you know if it's going to be?
No, no, the mayor wants to talk to the,
Oh, okay. Do
some
some
more
things that way.
background and talk, yeah.
So it'll be a little bit, yeah.
Right.
Good. All right. Let's move on to new business. Got a couple of grant applications.
Did leave some phone calls and saw somebody out there that might be one of the,
I wonder, somebody looked in
Sponsors.
here. Yeah.
Oh,
So while John is just checking to see if we got anyone interested in background, was the Franklin Public Library Foundation application one that you had alluded to in the last
Yes.
meeting?
yes, I had encouraged them that request.
Am I
Yes.
missing something here? I don't see a dollar amount. Is there one that,
You're right, I didn't see one either, and I'm not sure why, but while we're, I'll just show you, in fact, these were just, got these the other day. This is the sponsorship information that we are,
this is for the
for the Library
Yeah.
Foundation. Yeah. John Jordan fundraiser. So I think
Oh, so it'd be what, so they,
it would be one of these.
one of these sponsorship levels,
Yes,
right?
yes, and of course, I'd encourage the authors. Anyway,
Well, then,
Do
I
what
wouldn't
you wish.
expect anything less from
well, thank you.
Okay, so it's your opinion that we can take the application information, marry it up with these sponsorship levels. And okay. Is this the first time that they have approached us on this?
Yes,
program?
yes, it is the first time. This is a little background. This is the third literary event that we've had. The other two had been luncheon. And we're changing it up a bit this year and making it an evening event, which hopefully will draw a larger audience other than people who are free during the day. So, and John Gerda is going to be our speaker. We have his topic they're still working with him on the topic, but he's going to be talking about his journey as a historian and as a writer, and also talking about fear in the city and how fear has really created the city. And then also a little bit, we want him to talk a little bit about the history of Franklin and how it came to be an independent city rather than incorporated into the greater Milwaukee, city of Milwaukee. Sure, Jen, you probably know that history. The mayor at that time, who I don't remember what his name was, but anyway, he hid out so that they could not find him and give him the summons or whatever was necessary in order to be a part of the city of Milwaukee. And then
That story.
the powers that be at that time in Franklin kind of went underground and established themselves and incorporated themselves as an. So it was a little bit of subterfuge going on there.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh, yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of an
I've heard
interesting
that,
story.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we like him to talk about that. And this is a fundraiser. We will make it very clear. And that's why looking for sponsors will help us to fund both John Gerda as a speaker and then also fund the food that will be offered. So.
Mark, any questions?
No, I understand what it is.
Yeah.
I should mention too, the other two events that we had, we try to focus on local authors. So we had Lauren Fox, who is from Fox or Whitefish Bay, and Larry Watson, who is taught at Stevens Point and Marquette and now lives in I believe, about 7 or 8 novels. Pretty prolific and well.
Well, I think it's safe to say, Barbara, that you would be in favor of
Yes, I definitely I would be,
of
for
approving
sure.
this
And-
application.
And I wanted to give you some background into it.
Right. Great. And I take it nobody's outside.
No, there's another meeting occurring next door, so that's where everybody's at.
Mark, initial thoughts on okay.
The only thing that sticks in my mind is, should this be a tourism commission or should we've not really, and I could build a case for both.
Right.
Just as she says in the app, there could be people that stay overnight. But having said that, it's a small amount of money. And it's good for the city. So that's my thought. I think at some point we're going to have to sit down with Engage and say, here's the way we're going to use as a cutoff, as a criteria.
Right.
Okay, this is something that you should fund, something that we will fund.
Yeah. or you should look at, right, for
Mhm.
Yeah.
funding.
And I realize time is an essence here. Like I said, it's small amounts. But I think we could use this as an example and sit down with Carol and Laura's replacement. Here's what we propose.
Right.
And quite honestly, I don't know what their reaction would be to that either.
Gage Franklin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, this is we need to do something soon. with this.
Right.
And I agree, it's a good thing for the city.
Right. Those are my feelings. So this, to me, I have two thoughts on this. One, I do believe when we created or helped to get behind the Engage Franklin creation mission, this seemed to be the kind of thing that was more community based, that they were going to take under their, that would be something they more suited for they have a broader mission.
Right.
And so this would certainly fall under it. For us, it's, our funding directive is a little more targeted, and this does, as we've talked about before, events like this will always draw in, that's the whole idea, is to get some folks to show up, and whether they're from the local community or a neighboring community. As far as overnight stays, I would really, it would be, I think it would be a little bit of a stretch to say that there will be really any lodging impact. But having said that, I also think that we as a board, maybe a commission, should consider one that dividing line, like this really should go to Engage Franklin, and because we're involved, we're going to submit the grant their way. But two, if we are a little conflicted about things that seem to be sort of on the edge, that maybe we formalize within our own commission. There's maybe a certain pot of money, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but we've tucked away $4,000 a year, for $500,000, $1,500 requests that we first come, first serve. But you know what? This is why we created this, because we realize there's some gray in these applications, and we don't want to say no, and we do have, we have some dollars to.
And that was a question that came up at the Engage, because there's discussion about, okay, we are giving them 75% of what we take in. Their question was, well, what are you doing with the other 25%?
Valid question.
And it's a valid question. I said that other 25% is available if you have a special thing that you want to come in and pitch to us, decide to give you more money. It's also meant for these banners, things like that. But it goes back, we've got that extra 25%. This won't impact that 25%. Just a marginal.
I'm sensitive to creating precedent or developing creating a policy that we will want to move away from. But I also know, like you said, I like the way you put it, Mark, that this is maybe can be used as an example, and instead of holding this example hostage to that decision, I'm going to recommend that we do approve this sponsorship. We can talk about the level, and then I say we use it as that example with Engage Franklin of what do we do with these kind of
This and the concerts here that we sponsor, and the other one we're going to talk about, could all be examples.
right, right, because it's going to continue, and I'd really like to have a better answer.
I think all of those events, for example, help to support the covered building that we are having, that we need to have with our citizens. That I think, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that Engage Franklin is more focused on some of the events that are more profit-centered. These are,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
are non-profit-centered.
That's true,
Granted, they're
too.
trying to raise money, but it's for the profit rather than profit organization.
And that's an excellent distinction, nonprofit versus for-profit.
Right. Well, and then I think, Barbara, to that, I mean, I think you probably both know my feelings on this, that I don't necessarily, Tourism Commission or it's necessarily concerned about public image or, because, you know, to me, that's a chamber function. That's for organizations that are more closely tied to community activities and the business environment in the city. There are organizations that are formed specifically for that purpose. For the, you know, that room tax dollars really is promote outside of our area to get folks to understand what's going on in Franklin and create some education and maybe hopefully some overnight stays. So, you know, I'm not necessarily one that would jump on the bandwagon of worrying about, you know, the public relation aspect. But again, I also realize that these things kind of are on the border, right? And they're worthwhile. And especially, I mean, I'll be honest, I think, Barbara, the fact that you brought to our attention, I have a lot of respect for you and for you, where your intentions are and what goes on in the city and you know, what you'd like to see happen in Franklin. So, I mean, just the fact that you gave us some background and are suggesting that you're involved goes a long way with me. So I think I'm on board, and I don't even think 15 outrageous sum of money. So I'm going to suggest 1,500. Put it out there.
I think I just heard a motion.
I don't know. Can I make that
And
motion
I will
or?
I will not make it. I have a vested interest. Let the two of you do this.
Oh. All right. So yeah, I guess they can approve this grant application, Franklin Public Library Foundation, in the amount of $1,500, author sponsorship level. And given that motion, did I hear a second? A second by Mr. Wiley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Library Foundation grant is approved. Not just from a capability standpoint, but would just be part of a voucher approval. We'd ask the foundation to invoice us for this, or we would just send a check based on the information we have.
I guess I can send the information in. I guess maybe here. I should take the raw copies here and just sign the application.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got this one right.
How did I do that right?
Yep. Please. I
I
won't
know.
remember either. Yeah.
So maybe I just
Sponsorship level $1,500 approved, then you sign it.
I'll put this right.
Then I can take that, and if they need a more official invoice. Get that.
Notice also that there are 4 event tickets that come with that sponsorship and 4 complimentary beverages. We're going to serve beer and wine. You'll be prominently recognized. Something will
All right. Our next grant application to consider is the Friends of. I apologize. Where? Friends of Ware Nature Center. Their application does have an amount requested, $1,000. Either one of you or John has more information about this organization or this request. And I nice job in filling out the application.
My only comment is, I like what Weir does. They have a very nice, have an excellent series of trails. We've done a lot about that throughout the county, throughout the state, I think. This will go into my other thing. $1,000, drop in the bucket. So it's very similar to what we just talked about with the library. Right. They have shown themselves to be a good corporate or good citizen of the city, and they do a lot of good things.
Can I ask two a question? Would you consider the Franklin, or the Ware Nature Center to be one of our tourist? Franklin areas?
I think it is. It's on the Engage Franklin website as a place to visit.
Right.
I believe it's on the parks thing that we had somebody a couple months ago. Yeah,
Yeah, it
should be in there.
should be.
Well, these are park rentals. There was another
Oh,
document that
Yeah.
the park department had as a map,
Oh, yeah.
which they haven't submitted to invoice. So they haven't probably produced it yet. But
And I know where is, do
Yeah.
you remember the thing that Laura
that's
did?
where it'll be.
Right here, right?
Should be.
On this map here?
I think,
says-
no, maybe not.
No, it's got the
It's-
pavilions and the,
Yeah,
it's-
it's the rental facilities that are in there.
Yeah. But you remember the pamphlet that Laura put together to take,
Mm-hmm.
show the,
yeah,
that sporting event she went to?
yes.
Where was in there?
Yeah.
So it is an asset to the,
Yeah, I would agree, right? So, in my mind, this application is a little closer to what our mission, because as I read in here, this looks like this is a fundraiser for the 50th anniversary of the Pollinator Brunch. Their goal to raise $30,000, right? And this $30,000 would offset expenses. But $30,000, I think, is, where did I read? Is planning on using that to make improvements, right, to the site improvement, to kickstart the community fundraising, funding of the Rooted and Growing Site Improvement Capital Plan. So that says to me, I mean, we're certainly asking for more information, but that sounds to me those are actual physical improvement to the nature center
yeah.
that are going to make it more of a,
They, I think, are trying to expand their trails for also disabilities.
Yes.
So, I mean, they've got that motorized thing that you rent people that are wheelchairs.
really,
It's like a mini caterpillar practically.
Yeah,
Really?
it is.
It's got
It's a neat thing.
Yeah.
It'll go up stairs even.
really.
It's really pretty amazing.
But they are trying to expand all the trails to make it accessible.
And I still believe that you know, I was really happy to see the quality of the park rental brochure. But as we know from some of our early work in branding and identifying current assets, and even going through the hiring process of looking at our first, what would have been a first paid position here, we had a few of the applicants tell us that in doing some research on Franklin, you know, what they discovered is that we've got quite a few park natural areas, some of the more interesting park features in, you know, southern Wisconsin. So I think it's an asset that we got, because people will travel to hike a trail for a weekend, so, or put that on their list of things to do when in the area.
I believe we heard that one of the applicants talked about bird watching.
Right.
This is apparently a great place.
It is.
You know, I would love to circle back on that, because that took me by surprise, and I would really like to find out more. Is that a thing?
There's
Is
a lot
it?
of people to make that a destination.
Yeah. You made it sound like this would be a reason people would come up this way.
My understanding is that the Conservancy has great variety. Owls,
They do too.
all sorts
You're
of
right.
things.
Right.
Got a few in my backyard. Something like that.
I'll make a motion that we approve $1,000 for donation.
I will second that.
We got a by approve grant application of $1,000 for Nature Center. We got a second by Barbara. Was there, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. The Nature Center is also approved. Same thing, John? Sign an original? Because I had mine in the packet.
Yeah, we got loose in case
All right, same
we
thing.
had,
Very back page here.
no, you can put it
There we go.
Yep, that's why I felt heavy. Got my budget stuff.
Just as a side, I just received in the mail the flyer for the 50th anniversary pollinator brunch.
Yeah.
And I think they're asking like $80 a person. So it is a fundraiser. And it's coming up in the next.
Time for implementation, September 15th, 2024, pollinator brunch event. Sponsored projects begin November 1st. Implemented through 2030.
Thanks, sir. Okay. Our third item under new business is the budget process initiative.
So, we only have to get our budget to the council the first week of November. But we can't wait until we have our November meeting to do it. So we usually need to get that taken care of in October, and so budget process is started with the city. And while we're not tied to that, the budget is recorded in the city's overall budget, and so it's good to have it. So that's us doing any budget amendment. So I thought I'd get us started on that, and obviously it's a simple budget, and you can see from the activities in there, and I guess we can start by looking at projected incomes, and 332,900, and then approximately 17,000 on interest, about $350,000, and then under the expense part of it, we had 9,850 for legal services, which obviously was just left over from all the other budget parts that we put together. And so you should see in blue year-to-date balance.
This is what's been paid out so far.
That's what's
as of
been
June.
paid out.
So is sundry contractors where we pay Engage, is that 75%?
That's 75%. Yep. And so what that happens is money comes in after the city's cut.
Right.
It goes to them
Right.
automatically. So that $76,000 that we approved here a couple meetings ago, that was paid. And so obviously we expect more as we get to the end of the year.
Yeah, because this 332 was our budget this year after, and we think we're having a better year this year. Got another hotel came online.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so we'll adjust those numbers to
Yeah.
see how the figures work. And we're kind of always in arrear on figures because the hoteliers, smaller operations, don't necessarily go right away and order at the end of the year. So, anyways, it's always kind of a searching and balancing it. But since we are just doing it at income, percentage of the income that comes in, then and at some point, it will be just a straight percentage and all the income comes in. Then it'll be even simpler. and then it'll just be a record keeping history.
So we've already hit the 151 milestone.
154 or
151, something, one and change.
It takes us, I
Well,
would think we're
well,
gonna probably,
Because, and this is updated from what I sent out in the email, I got this yesterday. Year-to-date balance on motel room tax is 0. Still at the one, still accumulating 151, but we won't get the big hit until
Still,
summer receipts start.
yeah,
right. So the June second quarter is due in 2 weeks. Here, hotels have got cut for the second quarter.
Okay.
So the legal expenses, I mean, again, it's kind of a tag along that we put on in the budget. So I expect, well, I think we did a lot of work for what we paid. So, but I know that we've gotten the bills in. So I think we plan on, maybe 5,000 there. Sundry contractors, that's be engaged, and postage, it's nominal $75 in case we have something project. Tourism events, that was that took in the band, Franklin Band,
All the concerts.
summer concerts.
Okay.
Concerts.
We paid that out already.
That out. Now, what we did today, for events, but they're not, right now, we'll put it under marketing service. You may want to increase that depending on how you see events coming, how you want to categorize those
Right.
promotions. Conferences in schools, that was the South Suburban Chamber participation that we had there. Their annual event, we thought it was invite both the economic development and tourism community.
Stop your question. Mark, you heard any talk about sending somebody to lodging?
I have no.
It's going to be at the Kalahari in else this year. And the reason I bring it up is if anyone on the tourism commission here, that could be something that if somebody really had an interest in diving a little deeper into, because the WHLA really driving force. It is the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the activity capital level? Lobbying. It's a lobbying interest for the lodging industry in the state of Wisconsin.
That's
in
what we
addition
have
to.
We have tourism.
Exactly.
Do
So
their
so
lobbying.
it may
Yes.
be interesting to either commission members or
When
to
is
engage
that?
Franklin. It is always that first week in November. They just opened up the registration.
Okay.
It's an interesting time period. It's actually done pretty well. It starts on a Sunday night with a reception. It goes Monday. So really Monday is the meatiest day. And there's an event Monday night, and then there's a half day on Tuesday. So you're home by Tuesday afternoon.
Is that
So
the one that Bill's last name?
Bill Elliott, yeah. So he runs the
Okay.
Wisconsin Hotel Lodge. He's the president. It's his show, But there's always it's a good speaker, and I don't want to delve too deep into this, but it got me thinking that when we talk about conferences in schools, that may be one that I'll be there just because of what I do, but any one of our board members or commission members may be interested in attending because
I'll bring it up with Laura.
Yeah.
I know. She may have mentioned something about it. Yes.
She might be attending
She might
because
be.
of visit.
Well, because of visit. But I'm thinking back 2 generations before Laura, when Callie was, I think she went to
Yeah,
that.
Kelly
Yes.
Berg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it might be of interest.
Yeah. Would that be
No,
Any
that,
interest to someone like yourself, John,
The
or-
Tourism Commission.
well, just something to think about as far as budgeting for even the next year. And it rotates, you know, and usually it's held at a place like a resort. It was in Elkhart Lake at Ostaf. It's been at the Kalahari's. I think the attendance this year we.
I'll ask.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I did
No,
interrupt the
that's
process
a
here,
good
so
thing.
we're going down through that.
I can just send an email out to the commission saying, hey, if you guys are interested, if you send me that.
Yeah. Why don't I send you the link I got? Remind me. Of helping English serial claim filer.
So, the other item, we have marketing services, we have $20,000 in there, so we're going to be taking the sponsorships that we approved tonight, and probably that would be a good place to have some of the other ones. Maybe you want to do 15 there and 5 under the events. Either way, but the money that was spent there actually is for the parks publication. And like I said, I've got to check and see if they're going to have the map. Remember the maps coming to us. And then also it was website sponsorships for some.
That's the 1608.
Right, yeah. 100 for the.
They weren't asking for much, right? Was it?
I'll have to take a
500
look.
sounds about right.
Actually, I think it's 592. I think it was 600.
Okay.
But the rest of it was like 2 years of sponsorship of the site.
Okay.
And some maintenance. Not a lot of maintenance. I haven't done any on it since I got it. Well, sure. Okay. Laura, I met Laura. I'd even been here a year, and so it was obvious we were going to be turning that over.
Right.
Anyways, so that's all of our expenditures in all the categories except for the streetscapes. And we haven't really done anything out of that yet. So if that happens, again, if I had a maintenance agreement,
yeah,
that would be part of what's in there, plus I'll buy some more mayonnaise. Sweetie. It's a public meeting.
So that's the bucket
Shaver
that that's the bucket that mounting brackets will come out.
Yeah, yes.
And do you know
Yes.
the $45 that has been spent? But that's what.
You know what? I gotta pull that.
I mean, not that it,
Could be
but
big
I just a
service
weird
fee.
amount to under the billboard of the streetscape.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost
So,
But anyway, now I do have just a practical question. So, are we given certain account codes to use, and that's what we have to fit our expenditures under, or can we, if we wanted to call something out, would the city create an expense code for us?
you could create one, and it probably wouldn't be a big deal for us to do that, but all the codes and all that stuff, of course, is entered into the city budget.
Right.
So it's part of the city budget, and then there's
So
whatever.
if you can use their codes, you're better off than
Yeah,
trying to
if you
create
fit it
some
under
new
the
account
codes,
codes.
and you know, like, take a look at it, you know, marketing services, you know, and tourism events, same thing, but
Yeah.
Right.
some folks like to break stuff down for it.
Well, and what we could do, I mean, if you know, if it's more convenient, if we just leave these accounts alone, but what we allocate, and maybe we come up with basically a document that states, okay, under these budget line items or accounts, we are placing the following. You know, we are anticipating the following. And that can be our running budget assumptions document that we just keep internally, so we all know, oh yeah, that 20,000 under marketing services is, we thought we'd spend 5,000 for this, we think we have this ongoing situation here, That's where that 20 grand came. You know how that goes. Usually by about halfway into the next year. But
I will try to break out the full list of codes. The ones they have there are the ones that are active.
okay.
Some of these, with the zeros, under the activities part of it, if they weren't, like basic items like mileage and postage, things that typically you're going to use. So there, but there's other categories that we don't use. But for the billboards, streetscape signage, the wayfinding category, I just don't see us needing more than $20,000 a year to maintain it. If we'd start writing stuff down because we got a question mark.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And so then the rest of those dollars we have to figure out. And maybe in the list of accounts, we have a category and find a place to park that meets the kinds of uses we want to do. And we talked about projects with Engage, for events or something, events or promotions that they need sponsorship for. You get that in the marketing. Yes, but there may be something.
Okay.
What is your post?
I was just going to just clarify. Right now, we have basically $94,000 left over. That hasn't been. That's the unencumbered balance.
Right.
Okay, then I have a question. And we have a policy of how much money we are expected to spend as a nonprofits cannot simply amass money and spend it. So do we have a policy of what that amount would be?
I think you fit under the nonprofit organization. You're a division of government. So your funds are going into an
Oh.
enterprise type.
Oh, okay, all right, that clarifies.
So Barbara brings up a good question about where this would fit in the future meeting. But we've always hung on to some funds because of the way the city is funding prison. As John mentioned a while ago, we're getting to the point in the finance department that once maybe this is we are now at a point where room tax revenue exceed.
Right.
There's no need to take your chunk up front. We just split it 70-30 because you're going to be getting, 30%. We just split every quarter.
Mhm.
30, we get 70. We go away. So hopefully 2025 and 2026 we do that. Well, then the need for a cushion or reserves is greatly different. Than a quarter of funding, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we all know that we do have that reserve balance it's of a size that would probably prompt some questions about what to do with that. What's the size? And what should be a reserve balance? What's the appropriate?
Yeah.
Because we're at now where it's warrants one bit.
I understand we're part of the city, so the city ever say, hey, you've got too much money sitting. Can they do that?
I would have to look at the legislation and probably from what I've seen from other types of enterprise type fund, I don't think the city can just simply have a chunk of it. Typically, a lot of times you have tax, but these are property tax dollars. The rest of the city operates on usually stuff that's distributed back, but that's TIDS. So, yeah, I guess for thinking out loud, I don't really have an answer, but I don't think necessarily do that with the commission. because again, they're different revenues, separate revenue.
My experience with nonprofits is that always try to have like a 1-year operating expenses reserve as a cushion.
That's a good,
If you can kind of aim at that,
yeah, right.
that's more than
Always if pushed of some more of it.
Right, I'm sure they would.
I'm sure. But.
Yeah, and I think, well, and that's a budgeting discussion, that certainly is. John, a little guidance. I'm wondering if part of this budget, initiating budget process, we want to include in that discussion of reserves and what, if anything, we want to do for establishing policy and what should be left over. Because again, I think the time is about now for us to discuss the balance that we currently have, which is, again, at a dollar amount that would warrant a discussion about maybe doing something that can transform, in our tourism market. If you're going to, with that kind of dollars, you could look at a project that could really be a game changer.
Project like what?
Well,
A conference center.
you name, yeah,
That would
all
be a
within the
major
rights and the abilities of the use of those funds. But I'm just saying, as opposed to operational and the $1,000, $5,000, and even if we go to a higher banquet, those are today's funds. We're talking about this over here, where there was a time back when this commission was geofence, so that it was more of a hardware infrastructure program. When people crossed over boundaries, and we have targeted sent to cell phone. Well, that's a game changer. That's investment that may not require a lot of, and the other part of this would be something that once the investment is made, it's self-sustaining, so that it's not another burden on future operational budgets, right, from a marketing expenditure standpoint. But I'm just seeding that thought process. That would be an example of something that would be, from a promotional standpoint, city, or for Franklin's tourism, would be a real. Okay, so think along those. What would really move the needle in overnight stays? What are you encouraging us? Just be prepared.
I'm just telling you that, giving you some ideas of where we could go with the budget that we have, and we put something together when we have a little more clarity. And like I say, that $30,000, I don't find a better category. I just move it into marketing services.
30,000.
That would be the adjustment.
For the
streetscape. Yeah, because
and
we're not
the ongoing,
capitalizing anymore.
Yeah, so the ongoing 20 is new banners. We'll find out this maintenance agreement, and we'll see where that. Okay.
I may get a number and a bit lower than that.
So we'll leave budget on. We'll move that to
Unfinished business
unfinished
next month.
business in next month.
And I'll bring a budget.
Perfect. All right. Any other discussion on budget process? No. Voucher approval.
Well, the only thing that we kind of did that. I thought, voucher approvals would be the projects that we approved, and so we don't have to do them.
Next meeting, August 21st is a suggestion. Works for leave it at August 21st? All right,
Yep.
6 p.m. All right.
And while we're talking about and I know we can't discuss something unless it's on the agenda,
Right.
but we had talked a while ago about the possibility of looking at a Franklin magazine. Can we put that on the agenda to find out whether or not that's something to pursue, get more information?
We put it on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Do we want to invite in the publisher? Or,
We can do that.
okay. Or no? She's available.
Right. And happy to do it.
A second.
All right. And second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.